And hey, everybody, you're listening to the Total Basis Podcast. I'm your host, Felipe, and with me is my guest for this evening, morning, afternoon, Corey Decker. Corey, how you doing this evening, morning?
I'm doing good. It's both light and dark outside.
I had to accommodate so many people. Like, are we doing it in the evening? Are we doing it in the afternoon? Are we doing? As you know, I usually do them on the weekend mornings, but sometimes I got to do them on the weeknights. And now I'm all. And my kid woke up at 6 a.m. even though she went to bed at almost midnight. God, them kids.
Jeez.
She's And then I come into my office where I'm recording my podcast today, and my room looks like it's been ransacked by pirates. And I'm like, oh, that's what she was doing this morning. I put two and two together. That's what she was doing this morning. So gotta love the kids, man. But anyway, let's talk about you, Corey. You are from Arizona. I've actually visited you last year during the World Baseball Classic. You were a very wonderful host. And why don't you tell the folks what your background in sports writing and other media ventures that you've done over the years, and where they can find you.
Yeah. So I've been writing professionally since 2015. Started out on some Angels blogs, covered the 2016 Olympics. I did a little bit of work for ESPN. Um, and then I was at WBLZ for the longest time and kind of left sports writing in 2017, but now I'm a copywriter by trade ever since.
That's interesting, because I started blogging at about 2011, and then 2012 and 2013 I picked it up, and then in 2013 I finally got hired to write and get paid for this, which I used to tell people. My dad told me I would never this would never amount to anything. Ha, take that, Dad. Now I'm getting paid by the article, I told him, which still wasn't enough to, as you know, Corey, it wasn't enough to quit my day job, but still,
Yeah.
it was a bucket list thing, kind of, that I was able to do it. But just like you, I did kind of stop writing at about around 2016, 2017, and I started doing podcasting. Um, and yeah, I don't think I haven't written an article since around the time you stopped writing as well. And let's talk about why did you stop writing? I know why I stopped writing, but
I
why did you stop writing?
well, I stopped doing sports because like it kind of altered my perspective about how I intake sports.
Mm,
Like especially when I was working with the Arizona Rattlers, like when you work in the press box and you and a lot of other people that might have experienced this can attest to this, like you can't cheer, you can't react, you have to be, you know, um,
stoic.
you have to be a robot and you have to, you know, always be looking at, okay, so and so what was their how did they do their last three at bats and how did they do here? And you watch the game differently, and
Hmm.
because of how you're supposed to watch the game, that's part of why I quit. And um like the other reason is if I wanted to go forward that route,
Hmm.
then my work-life balance would be like non-existent. And that's, you know, being
Yeah,
being the son of a truck driver, I didn't want to be gone a lot.
yeah, and that's same thing I kind of felt through is like you work your bread job and then you come home, or in my situation you put away your bread job laptop away, and then you bring in your recreational laptop in and you plug it in and you set it up, and now you're back at work again. And it is work. It is fun. It's a passion project, but it is work. You still
Mm,
gotta, and you, even though I was mostly a statistic, I wasn't like you. I didn't do any press box, but I am aware of press box etiquette. But I was just writing about statistics and baseball trends, and mostly for fantasy baseball purposes. And then what ended up happening was, you know what? I'm not liking how this article is. It's already late. It's almost midnight. Let me go to sleep and recharge my batteries in the morning. You wake up in the morning and you look at your phone and you see the headlines in baseball. And it
mm,
turns out that it was exactly what you were writing about last night. And the article you just wrote about a certain player, gone. It's worthless. It's meaningless. All in a
yeah,
span
it's
of less
useless.
It's useless. All in a span of less than 8 hours.
Hmm.
You can't even use it as a memorial thing because it's pointless. Like whatever you wrote last night, it's null and void. You got to start over later this evening and write another article about something else, and hopefully you'll have some ideas. And to me, baseball is. I love the sport so much. There's never nothing to talk about. Use former writers using double negatives, but there's usually something to write about, something to talk about. There's 30 teams.
Yeah.
There's like a million players. There's a million ways to go about it. There's a million statistical configurations you can go and discuss this great game of ours. But after a while, it just became so overwhelming between the deadlines, um, uh, what do you call it? Making sure that all your because you got to do your own fact checking. Nobody
Oh
else is
yeah.
doing it for you, so you got to do your own. If you do one little mistake, and that is the one thing people focus on, is that one mistake. Or if you
Yeah.
try to do something different, like I try to do with the use of advanced analytics, instead of people actually reading the article as to what the main point of the article was. Everybody's, oh, well, I don't get these newfangled statistics. Why can't we just use runs and RBIs and home runs and ERA? Like, well, I explained that in the article, and that is the point. And guess what? Your favorite Major League Baseball teams aren't using those statistics solely to evaluate their talent, but nah, I don't like it. And then after a while, it just became exhausting. It became a chore. That's what happened. And
Yeah.
podcasting, I always wanted to be in sports radio, never got a chance to do it. And this is my way to kind of fulfill that dream a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and I started getting quote unquote better at it because I still feel like this is like amateur hours sometimes. But I have a microphone. I have a microphone now. Before I didn't. We got the Zoom thing going thanks to Henry and his kindness uh, of setting that up for all of us to use. So I do thank him for that. Uh, Before that, we were using Skype and we were using Audacity. And I would record on my end. Matt Bushnell, Matt Bushnell, he also lives in Arizona,
Yeah.
my buddy. He would record on his end, and then I would have him, save his track file, send it to me via a Dropbox, I believe, and then I would have to piece it together, or sometimes he would piece it together too. So we went from sports writers to podcasters to now we're freaking audio engineers. And after a while, I just after staying up until 3 a.m. trying to figure out why these tracks weren't mixing well together, I decided, you know what, bro, I'm done. I didn't go to school to be an audio engineer. This is stupid. This is pointless. I'm done. And then, as you
Hmm.
know, Corey, you were in those conversations. The pandemic hit, and we had nothing to do. Let's do podcasts. But there has to be an easier way. I don't want to go through that Zoom. Sorry, I don't want to go through that Audacity and Skype thing anymore. And somebody brought up Zoom, and we've been at it since the pandemic. And like I said, it's a passion project, and it's a great way to talk to friends and talk about baseball, and most importantly, talk about fantasy baseball. Before we move on to said fantasy baseball, I just realized that you went to the Savannah Banana game last night.
Yeah.
Did it live up to all the hype that you see on the YouTube video? Well, I guess YouTube videos, social media posts, and all that. Did it live up to the hype? Did you enjoy yourself and the wife enjoy yourselves?
Oh yeah. I mean, Tamara just adored it. But like I kind of went in and like we got these tickets in December and I kind of went in, I'm like I'm a bit of a baseball purist, so I'm like, what are these kids doing to this? What are all these crazy rules about no walks and but like I came away with it, one, thoroughly enjoying myself, and two, there's a lot of things that they do at Banana Ball that would be killer major league drills. Like instead of a walk, what they do is it's called a scramble or a scram, and the runner at the plate goes as far as they possibly can before all of the fielders touch the ball.
Mhm.
So like it'll get to ball four and the catcher will throw to the third baseman and all the outfielders will come in and the runners go around. I'm like, that would be a heck of a drill to build up speed. So
But
like,
you're still gonna have slow guys in Major League Baseball, though. So I see a lot of pulled hamstrings. Is what I really see. But
yeah,
any other weird rules that you saw last night?
Uh, there's so many. Um, if if a batter were to step out of the box, they're like just benched. They're thrown out of the game basically.
Wow.
Um, let's see. And then there's if anybody in the crowd catches the ball, it counts as it out on the field.
Yeah, I've heard about that one.
Yeah,
That
that's wild.
I would actually buy a baseball glove for the first time in my life if I could somehow be a part of the game like that. I mean, that's the reason I do fantasy baseball because I feel like I'm a part of the game. But now you're telling me that if I catch a foul ball, I get a put out under my name, bro.
Yeah.
I'm there.
And I didn't realize that like when that happens at the event, because it happened and it happened for the party animals, the bananas opponent. The
Mhm.
entire party animals team went up to the guy that caught the ball and like high-fived him and everything like he was on the team. Like
Oh
it was
wow.
hilarious.
I've actually seen. Oh, so it happens for both opponents, right? Like home team or away team, whatever.
Yeah.
So even the fans of that team will catch a foul ball to get one of his own players out.
Yeah.
Steve
Yeah.
Steve Bartman would have loved that, right? So we don't make fun, we're just, observing. So yeah, so it sounds like it did live up to all the hype. It lived up to all the things you see on video. Well, did the guy in the stilts come out or no? Or was he not there?
Yeah. Yeah, he was there. They they mentioned that he was gonna substitute in at first base, but
Hmm.
then he left for some reason. So we didn't get to see him play, but like when you get there, like the entire team, because they have us all, cattle prodded on the outside of the stadium, and like you'll be standing there and you're like, okay, they're gonna open up the gates in about 20 minutes. And then the whole team just walks through the entire crowd, just high-fiving everybody and stuff. It's a really cool experience.
Were there any celebrities? Usually on these videos you see like John Cena just showed up in one, and then oh, who the heck? I think Eric Burns, the former A's player, showed up in another one.
Pigpen.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
Sorry, Eric Burns, when he played for the D-backs,
Oh,
he used to have the groundskeepers throw dirt in a section of the outfield, so we
uh-huh.
called him Pigpen because he always liked to play in a dirty area.
I thought you were talking about the Snoopy character. Like, wait, I'm sorry, he showed up at the game list in
No,
that fully animated. Go ahead.
and like I didn't there wasn't any special guests, but like 9 times out of 10, if there's some non like baseball but not major league event here around this time, there's usually major leaguers. Like I went to GCU's opening day and Dave Roberts was sitting in the front row watching GCU play.
Well, for those who don't know, that's Grand Canyon University. That's Corey's alma mater. Did Dave
Yeah.
Roberts go there, or why was he there, or just right place, right
He was
time?
just he was just taking in the game. It
Okay.
was like Dave Roberts and then he brought a couple of other people, and then I think Francona was there. They just taking in some baseball.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. It is spring training. Francona just retired, so he probably moved out to Arizona, maybe. I don't know. But I know the Dodgers are in Arizona, the Camelback Ranch, right?
Yeah,
And the White Sox. I think they share the complex down there still after all these years.
yeah.
Because of course the White Sox
It's
want to
it's
share.
a beautiful complex, even if the Dodgers are playing there.
I would love to go one day. I know I went there, what was it, early March for the World Baseball Classic, and that was pretty awesome. You felt that there was a baseball city uh
Mhm.
a feeling to it. And that if that's Baseball City, I wonder what these spring training complexes and because they're not too far from each other, right? From what I remember.
No, no, like Florida. I'm sure Vince will come in and write a small soliloquy,
Come on.
700 words correcting me on this, but my understanding is Florida, they're like hours apart.
Yeah, they are.
Here, the furthest west is Surprise, and then the furthest east, I believe, is where the A's play. And that's only about an hour apart.
Interesting. But yeah, that's one of the things I always wanted to do was, and I can't believe I'm already over 40 and I have not done this in all my life, but it is to go to catch some spring training games and just capture the baseball magic that happens in Arizona. Because, like you said, they are
Yeah.
close to each other. It's March, you're dealing with the harsh, cold winters here in Chicago. Well, that's what happened last year, bro. I mean, I still wore a hoodie, but still, you go from the cold, hard, heartless Chicago winter, you land in Arizona, and first of all, it feels like Mexico to me because it literally, I felt like I was back home in Mexico. Uh, I wonder why, right? But no, but yeah, you see that, and the weather is the big difference. It's not too hot, it's not too cold in March. It's just right. It's the perfect blend of both worlds, and there's baseball everywhere. So that would have been
Mm,
that's one thing I would love to do one of these days. And of course, I'm gonna drag you with me. Come on, I know
yeah.
you're. Let's get going. I only have a week if I'm lucky. So anyway, so that's pretty cool. So Savannah Bananas, they live up to the hype. I know I've contemplated because I'm one of those people that I'm just like you. I wouldn't call myself purist, but I do love to see competition. I'll stop what I'm doing. If I see a little league game, I'll say, oh, if like driving by, like I gotta make sure I don't hit any cars, but I'll see, will this hitter hit the ball as I whiz
Mm,
by? But that will stop me in my tracks, like a little league game of any kind, girls, boys, high school. I don't do college because I have my gripes against the NCAA. But if it's a game on, I want to watch, or even an individual competition. Like I don't really watch arm wrestling. I'm not into that. But then I started thinking about the slap fighting. The ones where they slap each other to give each other CT in the
oh
future.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll even watch that. But then after a while, I just start feeling gross about myself and change the channel. But yeah, I'll watch competition. I'm a big competition guy. That's why I do fantasy baseball because I'm too decrepit to do any real competition. I can't even do Rex League sports anymore because I'm so broken at this point in my life, Corey. So this is how I get that competitive edge. But yeah, you don't want to play me in Monopoly. You don't want to play me in checkers or chess because I will take it too seriously. Brother. I can't even watch wrestling without turning off that part of my brain that tells me that this is all fake nonsense. And I have to really dig deep and dive into this mental capacity where I'm telling myself, man, these two really hate each other. Like if he doesn't win, his career is over. Like I gotta be in that state, otherwise it's no fun for me, right? Because I still think that that's what wrestling is. It's competition, even though
Yeah.
even though we all know it's scripted fake nonsense. But that's how I am. That's how I'm wired. And to me, watching a Savannah Bananas game, that would be like nails to a chalkboard. It's like, why are they doing this silly shit? Why can't they just
See,
get to the next pitch already? Why are they dancing? Can they just get to the next pitch? Come on. But you're
see,
saying
that's
you
what I
go ahead. Yeah.
because I'm the same way. Like I tried to watch SmackDown and I laughed through the whole thing. Like I said, you know what? Felipe likes it. Jacob likes it. The guys in wrestling life really get into it. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And I laughed through the whole thing like it was an Adam Sandler movie.
You know what,
And I
bro?
felt so bad afterwards.
You know what, bro? I think part of the allure is you laughing at it because it's sometimes it gets so, especially the WWE, it gets so silly that
Yeah.
all you can do is laugh at it. They're getting better, but I'm more of an all elite wrestling guy. I'm more of a New Japan Pro Wrestling guy. New Japan, shit. I don't know nothing about Japanese wrestlers. I don't even speak Japanese except for sayonara or Ohio, which means good morning. I did not know that. Ohio, Corey. Um, or is it or is it the reverse? Corey, Ohio? Anyway, um, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about nothing, their culture, nothing. And they take it like super serious. They cover it like a
Yeah.
real sport over there, and they present it to you on television like a real sport. And for a while, that's all I was watching was just New Japan. I was, wherever I could find it, whether it be on YouTube or on my one of my cable channels, I'll just record that, watch it, and that would be like the greatest 1 hour of my life at that week because it felt so real. It felt like real competition, not this other fake
Yeah.
nonsense. And even when they go at the end and they cut their promos in Japanese, doesn't matter because the real talk happened in the ring while they were beating the crap of each other into a bloody pulp. But here in America, it's like, and this is something that I argue with wrestling fans all the time, where they tell me, "What about the story? Like, go watch Walking Dead, go watch the freaking This Is Us, go watch that. This is two men getting in the ring and one of them coming out victorious." And then they tell me, Felipe, that's fucking stupid. You're a mark. Like, sorry, I love competition. And that's one of the reasons why I could see myself not enjoying the Savannas. But the fact that you call yourself a baseball purist and you said that you absolutely enjoyed it, maybe there's hope for me too. I don't know. So we'll see. But
Well,
you vouch
uh,
for it. Go ahead.
yeah, because I mean they got really competitive. I was really surprised. So like throughout the whole thing, it's a lot of dance music, and how they do it is you win an inning, and except for the very last inning, then you you enter a run, and it's regular baseball. But when they get to that final inning, like the music changes and it becomes like really intense, and I was
Cinem
really stunned by that.
cinematic.
Yeah.
Did they bring in Hans Zimmer and stuff? That'd be something. They
They
bring in
they
Hans
brought
Zimmer.
it they brought in his freaking his songs. Like they have a golden batter. I didn't really get it, but like they
Wow.
came in with this gold robe and gold hood, and I'm like, I hope that's not too pointy. I don't want this canceled. But they came in, it's like really ominous music, and it was really competitive at the end. I was really stunned by that.
Meanwhile, Rob Manfred's in the back just writing down notes like, see, what else can we like, bring into this Major League Baseball game, huh? Golden batter, I see. Why can there be a platinum batter? And suddenly he becomes Vince McMahon with his crazy ideas. Why can't we do
Yeah.
a brawn panties match on the mound? On
Yeah.
the mound
Why
between
don't we just make it a golden shower? Oh,
a
wait a
goal.
minute, that's not.
We'll bring R. Kelly as a special referee. Yeah, there we go. All right. A genius. It's a good shit, pal. Hey, guys, good shit. SHIT. Snit. That's how the kids say it, right? Shit snit. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be gone in 9 years anyway. What was it? 5 years? Sorry, I'm gonna be gone in 5 years anyway. I'm gonna be like Nero playing my violin as I watch Major League Baseball burn down, and I come away with billions and billions of dollars. And anyway, this it's just like the Savannah Banana games. This is going off a tangent. Good tangent. I love
Yes.
man. I live for this crap, but oh man, but that's good. I mean, you know what? It reminds me of when I watched the Harlem Globetrotters. I knew that was fake, right? But
Yeah.
it was still a good show. So if I can enjoy this, the Harlem Globetrotters, I can definitely enjoy the Savannah Bananas. But I think because it's baseball, there's a little bit of me that cringes because I love this sport so much that. But then again, I
Mhm.
also enjoy the N1 mixtape tour back. I don't know. You might be too young. Did you remember the N1 mixtape tour from back in the day?
Yeah, I had the PS2 game.
Oh God. Uh, but it's if it's like that, then I guess it's fine. And I'll be able to survive. All right, so
Yeah.
we go from one type of
Bring
fake.
Penny.
You think she'll enjoy it? I don't know. I'm afraid, man.
Oh, I know she will. The little kids that were there last night just they had the time of their lives.
You know what I noticed, bro? When I went to see minor league baseball, especially when I went to see the my local independent league baseball team, there were a lot of families, but number two, a lot of kids just running around and having the time of their life. And eventually, one of
Mm,
them was brave enough to talk to some of the guys on the bullpen. Next, you know, there's a swarm of children just hovering around the players. No name, nobody relievers on the bullpen because you know the bullpen's on the outfield next to the stands.
right.
And a bunch of kids just start picking their brains and they try to get stuff autographed to them, and they just start talking to the bullpen guys. And can you imagine being like a 7-year-old boy who plays little league and then you actually play with an actual professional baseball player? I mean, he makes peanuts, but he's getting paid probably more than he ever
Yeah.
thought he would. And he's just talking to the guy. They talk for about a couple of innings. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You can't tell me that baseball isn't for the children, man. How do we get
Hmm.
children? How do we get children to watch the game? How do we get? No, you don't get children to watch the game. You get children to go to the game and provide them all types of accessibilities.
Yeah.
But you know, it's Major League Baseball. They see a 6-year-old and all they see is money signs.
Yeah.
Some of these minor league games, kids enter for free.
Hmm.
Imagine that. So, anyway, we're not commissioners, so we should. I am a commissioner of our fantasy baseball league, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Right.
So, from one fake sport to another, Corey, how tell the folks how long you've been doing this fantasy baseball stuff.
How old is the league? It's like 2 years.
We
I think
started in
that's
2022.
yeah, so that was my first year playing fantasy baseball.
Why did you join? I go ahead. Why did you join? What made you interested in doing this with us?
Well, I wanted to play with you and Austin and a lot of the guys that I interact with and in the in baseball life, and Melvin as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's
So yeah, I was.
go ahead. I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead.
I just that was it. And in addition to it being a weekly, because like I had heard stories about daily leagues and how annoying they are.
Yeah.
But it being a weekly league, I'm like, okay, I can give it a shot.
Speaking of Melvin, he is here. Like, I'll try to my, I'll try my Melvin impersonation. Wow, Corey Decker is growing up. LOL. Same with college. Wait, hold on. Same with college games. MLB are the only games that players are uptight dickheads. His words, not mine. Also from Melvin, can you imagine being a kid talking to bullpen guys? Yes, that's the winter leagues. Oh yeah, he's a big proponent of the winter leagues. He was just there in Miami
Mhm.
covering the winter. Bro, him being there, it was like me being there. Like I literally
Yeah,
vicariously lived it. I've never been impressed with a guy in these groups of ours than I was when Melvin was there, front row center, covering the winter leagues, and it was just good to see his
yeah,
passion be at the forefront for all to see, and him taking advantage of him being a part of the culture, being bilingual, and just embracing winter leagues and the winter leagues embracing him. It was, I don't know, maybe I'm romanticizing it too much, but what did you think of Melvin going in the covering the winter league this season?
no, it's a kid in a candy store. He just has such a heart for all those players and their stories. And like I feel like there's been times where I've been talking to him about it, and he just gets so amped up that all of a sudden he starts speaking Spanish. He's like
Yeah.
enchilada Dorita, blah, 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 blah. You know, speaking a million miles a minute, like
Is it
only
Puerto
only
Rican?
native
Yeah.
Spanish speakers could
No,
do.
no, only
You
Puerto
know?
Ricans can do, or Cubans. Cubans are worse,
Oh,
by the way.
really?
Oh, Puerto Ricans, they don't even they don't roll their R's, bro. They don't have time
Oh,
for that shit. You ever no listen to them talking Spanish, and there's like syllables missing. There's consonants missing, but especially the R's. They don't have time to roll their R's. Cubans are worse.
I'll
They talk a mile a minute. Go ahead.
I'll go and trigger Sandy and Jenny Rivera after this
What?
and see how many R's they roll.
Oh, dude. I mean, I'm talking about in Spanish. Maybe in English, they roll their R's a little bit more because they gotta make sure that the Anglos know what the hell they're talking about. But no, in Spanish, bro. When I used to work in a call center, is they go, Felipe, I got a customer in Miami, but I've been tracking him for months. I finally got a hold of him, but if I go to the Spanish line, he'll hang up on me. I need you to talk to him. Okay, where is he from? Miami. I'm like, ah, he's gonna be Cuban. Sure enough, I get on the phone. Sí, buenas tardes, ¿con quién hablo? Oye, oh, hermano, coche, me están pegando, what the hell did I get myself into? Like, deer in headlights. And Spanish is my first language, by the way. Hard to believe for some people, but I'm Mexican Spanish. Cuban Spanish might as well be something else. It might as well be Mars. Might as well be Chinese Spanish. And Puerto Ricans are a notch above that. So there's Cuban at the bottom, Dominican Republic probably, Puerto Rican Spanish, and then Mexican Spanish is at the highest order. Actually, do you know what the bottom Spanish is? Spanish
From Spain,
from Spain.
right?
Yeah, I don't respect a language where you have to lisp certain letters just because your former king did it. You know what that makes you? Makes you basic. There, I said it. And that is how World War IV begins with Felipe talking smack about Spaniards. But no, but yeah, man, it was cool to see Melvin cover the game. See some old name. There was this one guy he interviewed, and I already forgot his name. But I mean, Jeff Nelson. Like Jeff Nelson. I I didn't. First of all, I didn't know that he played in the winter leagues. And number two, I didn't know that he was just as passionate about winter leagues as Melvin was. So that's pretty cool to see. Number three, he looks
Yeah.
better now than he did when he was playing. He looks fit, man. He looked like he was in good shape. Or maybe I'm misremembering things, but he kind of looked bloated back in the day when he was playing. Um, I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just saying that he looks much better now than he did when he was in his playing career. But that was cool to see Melvin do it. So check out his Facebook page, the Baseball Cosmos, and
Mhm.
looking forward to see what else he does in the future. But yeah, and but I started wondering, like I started feeling bad because I'm out here. I'm the back-to-back champion of our of this fantasy baseball league. Then I started wondering, like, well, Corey's only in his second year. Austin only started playing around the pandemic. Excuse me, around the pandemic. And that's only because he stumbled upon this podcast when we were starting it, and we were premiering it at the Baseball Life Facebook group. And it got to the point where Austin now does his own spreadsheets. We used to work on them together. Now he does his own. Like he's not even uh what is that? Consolidating with me or consulting with me. He's just initiative. He's not doing it on his own. So I think
Mm.
he's tired of me winning all the time. So he's gonna, do a run around and do it himself and see if he can win this year. Because he's probably he's the LA Dodgers before they won in 2020 at this point. He's so close yet so far.
Jeez.
Melvin, I think you're lying to me, bro. I think you also joined your first fantasy baseball league in 2022. No disrespect, but you could be honest with me, bro. Corey was honest with me. You could be honest with me, Melvin. Just tell me 2022 was the first season you played fantasy baseball, and I'll take it easy on you, okay? Matt Nyland. He says he plays in fantasy baseball leagues, but I don't know, man. I just know that every time I better be careful because the first season he did beat me twice. So I better be careful. But he's always, I don't know, I feel like he's always in dead last and everything. So and then AJ, well, AJ's AJ. And
Mhm.
Carlos just quietly wins. Although he went
Yeah.
9-13 last year. So but I don't know. But through all that, I mean, Corey, you would say that even though there's not a lot of bells and whistles in this league, and we're not even paying for money anymore. Again, you would say that's an interesting and very hyper competitive league, right?
Yeah. No, it's definitely a competitive environment, and I've come to learn it's more than just, I don't know. Uh, Somebody was saying something like, "Well, only real men play for money," and like, I don't know. I've been in paid leagues in football, and like the free is so much more competitive for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, it's
It's
something I've
odd.
been preaching for many years because I used to get a lot of crap because I would play in free leagues. Well, I'm playing free leagues because I mean, to be honest, the free leagues are the starting point to an eventual pay league. Like I'm not starting a pay league with strangers, right? Like imagine,
Yeah.
can you imagine me starting a pay league with the first batch of guys we started with in 2022? Some of those guys don't even play with us anymore. And we lost two more guys
Yeah.
this year. So actually
You
three more
can't
guys.
Venmo a ghost.
You caught me off guard there, bro. You caught me off guard. But this, I mean, even our fantasy football league it's a free league, but that one was super competitive as well.
Yeah.
And everybody, oh well, you're a bitch because you play in a free league. Well, it's a competitive league, and eventually, who's to say next year won't be a pay league? And I think that same league I think you guys turned it into a pay league as I walked away, right? You guys started because I think you guys switched websites, right? Or no? Or did you guys
We
stay at
switched
ESPN?
websites, but it's still free, but we're on Sleeper, which I mean
It's
I'd
free.
never used before. Yeah,
Sleeper is free. I thought you had to pay to play for that one.
I don't know. Matt Bushnell handles all that.
Oh,
I
damn.
just I just set my team and anger my opponents and then beat them in the season. That's all I do.
But still, it's the members of the league make the league, not the money.
Absolutely.
Because even when we play with money, the same guys who were there, oh, if this was a pay league, I would take it more seriously. The same guys who were crying about that did the exact same thing that they were doing when it was free. Like
Hmm.
the same approach to this game, the same silly picks, the same inactivity in their lineup. And I get it. Dog days of summer happen. You forget to set your lineup. I know I forgot to set my lineup in fantasy basketball just because the injuries took a toll. I just decided that okay, I'm gonna walk away, and then I forget Monday morning. Ah, crap! I have to set it up on Monday morning, and I forget to set my lineup on Monday morning, and I'll take my L's and quietly go away. I'll admit that, and it happens. But at minimum, you should be able to, you know, get your injured guys out of there and put a healthy body, and then figure it out later. But people were still, well, I got an injured guy. He's been injured for 2 weeks. Like, oh, I just noticed. Like, okay, thanks for your money. Thanks
Yeah.
for, then people wonder why I win every year. So, but anyway, but and that's my thing. I do believe, and you'll appreciate this. I do believe that you can tell a lot about a person, their psychological tendencies, how they are in real life, you could tell a lot about them by the way they play fantasy sports. I know people used to mock me for thinking that way, but I honestly could. And if you're gonna take it silly, if you're gonna have a silly approach when it's free, it's gonna be a silly approach when it's a pay league. If you forget to set your
Mm-hmm.
lineups when it's free, you're gonna forget to set your lineups when there's money involved. If you don't, if you're just releasing players left and right and give them to Felipe when it's free, you're gonna do the same thing when it's a pay league.
Mm-hmm.
These are all
If
patterns
you're
I've
gonna make
noticed.
a if you're gonna make a lopsided trade for Nick Castellanos earlier on, if it's a free league.
You're gonna do that when it's a pay league, which I believe that actually did happen. I believe I
Oh
somebody
gosh.
somebody did tell me that in a pay league, our friend there did do that he did make a lopsided trade for Nick Castellanos. So if you're gonna be a homer in a free league, you're gonna be a homer in a pay league. But that being said,
Yes.
we're coming back for the third season. There's gonna be some new guys, some new fresh bodies. Noah and Alex Robertson. Alex was my podcast partner last week, and he's excited as heck to be on it. Alex is a chatterbox, man. Like
Mm,
he constantly blows up our fantasy basketball chat. Sometimes he's just there talking to himself, but I appreciate that. I come in and I go, "Oh,
yeah.
someone was busy last night," and I'm sure he's gonna bring that same energy to the fantasy baseball chat. So I look forward to him. Noah also apparently he has nothing better to do but to be in a bunch of fantasy baseball leagues on Yahoo, as we found out recently. So
Yeah.
more power to him. This is another one of many. Austin is on a mission. Ricky, I know Ricky's not gonna, you know, take this uh 500 record lightly. Like I said, I think he might have the second most experience in this league. So I'm sure he has a chip on his shoulder. So for a second year person, what have you found out about fantasy baseball? What do you like? What don't you like?
Well, I don't know, I like the strategy. I think it's really interesting being someone that doesn't normally lean on the analytical. I've had to adopt it, which is annoying, but it's also interesting to me. Yeah, you had mentioned some resources a while ago that I purchased and are collecting dust on my nightstand that I need to read before we draft. As far as what I don't like about it, sometimes I have to cheer for Dodgers, which annoys the living crap out of me. But, what are you gonna do?
Oh man, that is something I wanted to discuss with you as well. When you mentioned that when you became a writer, you had to have this other mentality,
Hmm.
and you are correct about that. Besides being in the press box and being stoic, like I said, there's no cheering in the press box. But like I said, I've never been in the press box, but I always prided myself. If I'm gonna have some journalistic integrity, I gotta put my fandom to the side. And I thought that's me. And I also heard it from guys I grew up reading and listening to on the sports radio journalism spectrum. They said the same thing. Yeah, I'm a White Sox fan, but I don't take that into consideration when I'm criticizing the team. Like you
Mm,
are what you are, and I always respected that, so I try to emulate that. But I also found out a lot of guys who I looked up to in their writing careers where I found out eventually that they were mostly Yankee fans.
yeah.
I'm not talking about Vince. I know Vince is a Yankee fan, but he's
Vince is
very
a great writer too. I'll put that out there. He's phenomenal.
yeah. But I'm talking more like Ben Lindbergh and oh my god, the hell's the other guy's name from the Infinite Inning podcast? If you were to if you were to tell me guess who they root for in real life or outside of their baseball journalism, I would have had a hard time figuring out who they root for. And they both of them are Yankee fans. And then they talk to other Yankee fans who also you would not have guessed that they were Yankee fans because they're baseball writers first, and they're so deep into their professional writing careers that their fandoms have just taken a complete back seat. And it's just strictly this is strictly work. It's a passionate work, but it's strictly work.
Mm,
And you got to put that to the side. You can't be like, oh, Aaron Judge, I'm gonna write 750 words as to why I love Aaron Judge. You can't do that, especially if you're these guys,
yeah.
the professionalisms that they have. You can't do that. Uh,
Hmm.
because there's a certain kind of unbiased opinion that you are looking for these guys, and they know it. And like I said, I would have never have guessed that they were Yankee fans, and I kind of did the same thing. Like people have a hard time believing that I'm a not just a Cub fan, but that I also root for the White Sox. The number one, which is a mortal sin in Chicago, but I don't care. I mean, my dad was an immigrant; he wasn't gonna correct me on that one. And I would have been a Yankee fan anyway. If I wouldn't root for the White Sox, I would have picked the Yankees to be my AL team, and then I would really be annoying to a lot of people. It'd be a crazy triumvirate with Henry, Vince, and myself, Yankee fans. But no, I decided to root for the other loser team in Chicago, and that's the White Sox. Look at their history; they suck just as much as the Cubs, so might as well be miserable together. And plus, oh, come on, I look awesome in black. You're wearing black, I see. So I didn't realize we were matching today.
Kind of.
Did we
Yeah.
get the memo? Was there a memo written that
Yeah, I think so.
we're and that's a fact. Um, but yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up. Like, yeah, you do kind of if you want to be a writer, a baseball writer, you do have to set that to the side. If you're gonna be if that's gonna be your shtick though, that you're just a fanboy who writes about your team, then more power to you. That can be successful too. I'll be honest though,
Mm,
I don't respect that game. I don't respect that aspect of a writer where they
yeah,
their identity is their fandom. Like, bro, you're
yeah,
one in a million. You're not one in a million. You're a million in a sea of a million people. You're like everybody else, except that you actually have a website you keep up with.
yeah,
So I'll take the guy who has an unbiased opinion and can set aside their fandom for the greater good of the game. So that I just wanted to point that out since you mentioned that earlier.
yeah,
There, we got some comments here that I want to read to you. Melvin agrees that same way the college games, Major League Baseball are the only games that players are uptight dickheads. Oh, I think I might have read that. Can you imagine being
yeah.
a kid talking to bullpen guys? That's the winter
For
leagues, he
that one.
says. Okay. And kids enter for free. The winter leagues keep you just from these boring MLB offseason with Boris guys. What do you think about Scott Boris guys? The five of them, right? The big five not signing with any teams. When are they signing, Corey?
As soon as the first injury happens,
Uh,
like
Blake
first
Snell,
major,
Blake Snell to the Orioles.
you know what? I've said this as a joke, but like the last 5 times I said it as a joke, it's become reality. Snell to the Dodgers.
I
They're
said I said that as a joke to the other day. You posted something
like,
about the Diamondbacks that they were more
yeah,
open to spend money to complement this team, and you did the googly eye thing that you were just tagged in recently. That
yeah,
oh, the Diamondbacks might sign. So then I wrote down this confirms that Blake Snell will be pitching for the Dodgers next year. The Dodgers
yeah,
will outbid
and
them.
and you're right, and like the D-backs made a signing this morning of Randall Grichuk, and
Mm.
I'm kind of annoyed by that because I want Puig on the Diamondbacks. I would not
Mm.
have said that in 2016, but I watching the Caribbean series,
Yeah.
yeah, with the broadcasts that did make sense, but I'm learning. I learned what those are and why they yell, and it's I don't know. That's another day. But man, Puig was just so patient and like powerful, and he was reserved, and it was a different guy than when he first came up with the Dodgers. Different
I
guy.
I would say that's always been Puig. I've always loved his game. I know that some of the antics that he gets notoriously connected with, and I can't justify it myself, but I've always loved this game, bro. Like the patience, he's always had it. The power has always been there. The intangibles, I'm not 100% sure of, but you take a guy who almost risked his life to get to this country to play baseball,
Mm,
and get away from that oppressive government. I mean, what more intangibles do you need at that point? I get it though. I get that there's meltdowns and there's infighting with teammates and stuff of that nature. But
yeah.
I always love this game, bro. Yeah, take away all that nonsense that people seem to gravitate towards, and that guy was born to play baseball. Unfortunately, he is 33 years old. Does age matter to you?
Mm, I keep going back and forth because like last year, the
Mm.
D-backs signed Evan Longoria, or maybe it was signed a couple years ago, but like I've seen both because we signed Madison Bumgarner
Yeah.
and he got blasted. He was so bad at the beginning of the year that the D-backs said, you know what? We'll just go ahead and eat that $80 million because you were born to be a rodeo clown at this point.
Oh my
You're
God.
past your prime. You did really great in 2014 with the Giants,
Hmm.
but man, that dude is more road hard and put away wet than a cheap stripper. I mean,
Oh God.
it was.
So so descriptive.
But on the other side, But on the other side, we had Evan Longoria, who's almost 40. I think he was 37, 38.
Hmm.
And some of the plays that he made in that postseason run last year, like it's difficult for me to it's more about the guy specifically. I feel like I saw enough from Puig watching the Caribbean series where I'd be comfortable signing him,
Hmm.
not to a long-term deal, but for something similar to this one-year contract that we just gave to Randall Grichuk.
Hmm.
Like I'm or the one we gave to Jock Peterson. Like I would have
Mm.
been comfortable giving Puig one of those, but not a 5 or 7 year contract.
It's interesting what the Diamondbacks are doing. You know what? We segued into Diamondbacks. I think that's enough fantasy baseball talk. I was gonna have Angel today, but he canceled because I talked to a Yankee fan. We looked at the Yankee roster resource page. I talked to the Orioles fan last week. We looked at the Orioles page already. Naturally, right? The If you look at the pattern, the Rays were next, but Angel couldn't make it. But the other thing that we've been doing on these podcasts is talk about three catchers in particular, right? Because Harry Siberium in the first episode, he mentions that because he's just like you, he's he's doing fantasy baseball for the first time in a long time, so he might as well be a rookie at this point. And him and his friend, they inherited a team, so they're gonna try to tag team it together. And they brought up an interesting point that catcher is basically like tight end in football. And my argument was, well, if that's the case, then Adley Rushman is your Travis Kelce. But since
Mm,
catcher is the most important position in all of baseball, as you know, you saw firsthand last year, and we'll get to it in just a bit. But a good catcher can turn around the fortunes of your team. I've always argued that.
mm,
We've seen it with Ivan Rodriguez everywhere he went, Yadier Molina in St. Louis, Buster Posey in San Francisco, to a lesser extent, Wilson Contreras in Chicago. Catchers will do that for you. And Adley Rushman not only is he the Travis Kelce of tight end of catchers, you could almost say that he's the Patrick Mahomes of catchers without the championships, of course. But Adley Rushman is
yeah.
a league above every other catcher. But then something happened. There is a lot of good catchers in this game. I don't know if you noticed that, Corey, or not. I've always been a guy who says don't trust any of these prospect catchers. The last couple of years, I've been all in on some of these prospect catchers. I won a
Yeah.
championship in the Baseball Life League with Yanier Diaz of the Houston Astros and Bo Naylor. And also, I've depended on guys like Ivan Herrera of the Cardinals and Andy Rodriguez to a lesser extent. It is an on-base percentage league just like ours. So
Mm,
At least Andy knows how to take a walk, but even he started doing bad. And so that was a failure. But everybody else, they've been good, right? And
yeah.
we've been taking a look at three catchers, and those three catchers are Bo Naylor, of course, Adley Rushman, of course, and Gabriel Moreno. And you know what? It is fitting that you're here because all we've been doing is talking about Gabriel Moreno this whole time. Is it better to get Adley Rushman early in your drafts and get that out of the way, the position out of the way? Or once Adley Rushman is gone, do you just wait until Gabriel Moreno falls as the number 10 catcher? Which, by the way, Corey, I don't know if you noticed, but little by little, he's creeping up the rankings and he's creeping up the average draft position among catchers. He started out like at number 12, 11. Now he's getting close to number 9. So who knows if he's going to be there by the time we start drafting as a number 9 catcher. But what would you do in this situation? Well, if you could take your Homer Diamondback mind out of it, and if you're just being unbiased for just a second, what would your preference be at that position? Do you just go and reach for Adley Rushman now, or do you see if you can get Gabriel Moreno later?
Um, Looking at Rutschman's stats and like my favorite things, like Homer stuff aside, everything that I love about Gabriel Moreno wouldn't help me in fantasy baseball.
The intangibles, right?
So yeah, because like it's a totally different. Even though he's a rookie, like watching him calm down pitchers, it looked like Yadier Molina talking to Adam Wainwright. Like it was really crazy to see a backstop general like that in his first year. But to answer your question, I would take Adley Rutschman because I feel like, whenever I draft a team, I look at it as a war. And if you can kill your opponent in more than just one way, you have a high chance of winning the whole thing,
Mhm.
is my thing. So I think Adley Rutschman offers more tools with his 809 OPS, and looks like he batted 277 last year. Was the uh, I don't know, Silver Slugger Award winner. I just think Adley Rutschman gives you more.
No, like I said, Travis Kelce, right? That's why you draft.
Yeah,
Now people are drafting Travis Kelce as the number one tight end, and not only the number one tight end, but with a first round pick. Who was
yeah,
I think Harry was the one who told me that in his league, fantasy football league, Travis Kelce went number one overall, which is
I believe it.
crazy to me. Like I would never like getting him in the first round is like too much of a reach for me because I'm that's the way I'm built. I rather draft
Yeah,
the wide receivers and running backs and then focus on the other positions. But I mean that's a bit tight end has never been this weak before. Like in the all my life playing fantasy football, this has been some of the weakest tight ends I've ever seen in my life. And but there was Sam Laporta on waivers late in the season when they needed a tight end. Picked him up, and he was a difference maker for me and me making the playoffs and not making the playoffs in my league. So
but yeah,
that's me though.
it's like, I mean, I take Kelsey. I take Kelsey pretty early, like maybe even first round, just because I know how much the Kansas City offense runs
Mhm.
runs through him.
Yep.
And I mean, especially he just broke that. He's got like the number one. He's got the most postseason catches of anybody, and even more than Jerry Rice. And he even did it without Stickum, like that cheating bastard Jerry Rice did. But well,
Oh my
that's for Henry.
God!
That's for
Wow!
Henry.
Wow!
I'm kidding.
Corey,
Everybody used Stickum. Everybody used it. I
the
just
air,
like to give
but
Henry shit.
the Arizona Cardinal fan. Oh, this has. Oh no, I hate
Yes.
the Seahawks more than I hate the 49ers. No, Jerry Rice, you stick him. No, Jerry Rice, you sticky rice. He would lather his hands with cornstarch and orange juice chicken and teriyaki just to make those catches, and that's why they call him Jerry Rice. Jerry fried rice over chicken and pork. I'm getting
It's
hungry, as
like
you can
that
tell.
that movie that movie Little Giants, where the kid has the the glue on his hands and his jersey's coming off. Like,
Who are we talking about? Oh, Yasiel Puig, right? He was 33 years old. Kelsey by next year will be 35 years old. Is he still first round material?
I'd take him.
Okay, I wouldn't. I think I'll see a Sam Laporta if I can run it back with Sam Laporta for a full year. But that's just me though. I have the confidence that I can find like I said, I won championships in both of our categories leagues with Wilson Contreras as my number one catcher. And then I just depended on guys like Yanier Diaz and Bo Naylor as my because the other league, the Baseball Life League, that kind of mirrors this league. The difference between this league and the Baseball Life League is a two catcher league. So I trusted rookie catchers to get me over the top, and that was pretty much the difference there at that position for me. But I have that confidence to find
Yeah.
any player any time of the season. So, and that's part of the fun. I'd rather play revolving chairs at tight end and at catcher than being stuck. Because what we found out, Corey, that I forgot what day. I thought it was August 21st, but we did take a look at the stats of those three players after August 21st. And let me go share the Fangraphs machine that I use. And this is something I do during the regular season. I go into this table that no one else can get to. Only I can get to this table, right? Unless I share the link. But no one can get to this table. You know why, Corey? Because
Why?
this was custom built for Felipe. That's why. Built by me, Felipe. That's why. But yeah, for those who don't know, you can create your own custom leaderboards and you can put all types of statistics right here where I'm scrolling. You see that? And you can have all types of stats that you want to see for all these players. And you see these other players that I'm looking at. But if I don't want to look at if I want to add another player, give me another catcher. It's Yanier Diaz,
Who's
right?
that for Milwaukee? Yeah, I mean,
William Contreras. You want to look at William Contreras?
yeah, that's as I think I had him and Gabby Moreno
Okay.
last year.
And I'm glad you pointed out that Gabriel, because it seemed like once Moreno was starting to get more playing time and got back from injury, That's when the Diamondbacks really flourished on when he was there
Hmm.
on a regular basis. But these are the stats as of August 21st and through the end of the year. And as you can see, similar amount of games played, 35 games by Rushman, so he's still in the lead. But Contreras is playing 37 games, more plate appearances because he's DHing a lot for that Milwaukee Brewers team at that point. And Bo Naylor and Gabriel Moreno are finally getting, into the rhythm. And if you look at the ops, which this, for those who yell at me for doing too many advanced stats, ops is not an advanced stats, on base plus slugging percentage. I mean, $1.70 for Bo Naylor, 9.29 for Contreras, 8.50 for Moreno, and then dead last on this list, 8.53. Oh, I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. Well, either way, 8.53 for Rushman and 8.50 for Moreno. Not that far off.
No.
You picked this guy number one. I waited for this guy. I'm getting almost the same production. Maybe the counting stats are not there because he has 4 home runs. Rushman does. Moreno has only 2, but he does have an extra stolen base over Rushman, and similar amount of RBI, and similar amount of runs.
Yeah.
It's not that big of to me. It's not that big of a gap. That's just me though. But what we did see in all of this was the difference. And because I have so many statistics here that the names get cut off, but we know that number 1 is Naylor, number 2 is Contreras, number 3 is Rushman, and Moreno's number 4. First of all these guys have the same similar, I should say, similar swinging tendencies. They don't hack at a lot of pitches there. They're very patient guys. As you can see from the walk and the strikeouts, they walk almost as many times as they strike out. And the difference is the contact rates, where Contreras is only at 73% contact rate. Makes sense though. I mean, you ever watch him play?
Here and there.
Well, yeah, he's ready to just launch everything in sight. But Rushman at 86%, that's pretty high, even for a catcher. That's really high for anybody. The other 2 guys that I mentioned, Naylor and Moreno, are above 80% as well. So they know how to make contact. The difference is, Corey, after August 21st, Naylor was at 11.3% barrel rate, but only a hard hit rate of 30.6%. And I even told Harry, yeah, that to me, based on the number of home runs, that to me, and the launch angle as well, that's and the low exit velocity, 86.7 miles per hour. Felipe, what does this all mean? My best guess is that Naylor was just trying to lift every ball in the air and see what happens. Are you with me so far? I know I promised I wasn't going to do this, but we're talking about Moreno. This has been a theme running.
Is he a
Go ahead.
Is he a launch angle guy?
Who, Naylor?
Yeah.
Let's find out. Corey, let's see.
Because that's I remember David Peralta in 2021. That was the year the D-backs lost like 112 games because they had this batting coach that was just all about launch angles. So every pitch they were golf swinging because higher you could get it, I don't even know. I just know that they brought that launch angle in, everybody bought in, and then they lost 112 games. So that, with the injuries, maybe not a one-size-fits-all philosophy. I think it
No,
works for some guys, though.
yeah, we're about to get to that because we don't have all the data for launch angle throughout minor league careers. This was just recently instituted, so we could see his launch. Bo Naylor's launch angle in 2023 was at 15.4%. Makes sense. That's more of a line drive angle of sorts. 90, and it matches the exit velocity of 90, almost 91 mile per hour exit velocity, and the hard hit well above almost 45% hard hit rate. And you still get a very good plate discipline, good plate eye with an 8.9 swinging strike percentage. Anytime it's less than 10%, my eyes get wild. I get, ooh, he only swings at 8.9% swinging strike rate. I'm all in. But you got to be careful because some of those guys are really punch and Judy hitters, so you don't want that either. Unless you do. I don't know. There's benefits to punch and Judy hitters, obviously. But then he gets to Cleveland and the exit velocity dropped, but the launch angle raised and the hard hit rate dropped. My best estimate, just by looking at this raw data, I mean, I guess I could look at StatCast and see, be really nerdy about things, but I'm not going to do that. It looks like he changed his approach because, the Guardians, right? They're not the most powerful team on the planet. They got all these cheap players because they realized that having a bunch of contact hitters was cheaper than having a bunch of power hitters. So Bo Naylor hit 7 home runs after August 21st, and this is probably the recipe to his success here, was that he was launching the ball more in the air and was seeing great success. But he did have to change his approach from the minor leagues to getting to the big league club last year. So that's one. This is a new territory because I have not looked at any of William Contreras, but as you can see, this guy just hammers balls, man. 92 miles per hour, 92 and a half mile per hour exit velocity. He hits that ball on the button 10% of the time, barrel rate in a 50% hard hit. And again, that's after August 21st. So that's what we saw from him. And that resulted in 5 home runs, 21 RBI, 30 runs. And maybe that has something to do with the fact that he was DHing and playing more first base. I'm not sure. I know when I went to see him in Milwaukee when Austin was in town, he wasn't catching. But if he qualifies as a catcher, I mean,
Yeah.
you could do a lot worse. Adley Rutschman is the most interesting guy because he does not possess any of these lofty. I mean, that's still a respectable hard hit rate that you see here, Corey, 41.1%. Decent barrel rate, but it's his exit velocity is also respectable, but it's not over 90. But we're gonna see in a bit what went with him. And then there's Moreno, who torching that ball, right? 46.8% hard hit rate. But look at the barrel rate. It's only at 3.8%. And the launch angle is at 5.7%. I just realized that Contreras is also at 6.4%. This to me tells me that he's hitting a lot of grounders. Moreno is, and maybe to a certain extent, Contreras is as well. But with great success, no more shift, so you can get away with that a little bit more, right?
Well, and he's a very he kind of just likes to take what the defense gives him.
Yeah.
I mean, to use a football term, like if he sees the second baseman is shaded closer to the middle and the first baseman's holding a runner on, you'll see Moreno do like he'll step out of the box and he'll look over that area and then he'll alter his swing path to just get the barrel on the bat through that zone. He's such a brilliant hitter.
That was always his MO coming up the Toronto Blue Jays system, was that he has unbelievable back control. Like his hitting tool was off the charts. I remember Sean, who loves looking out for those guys, was just gaga over the guy. Like just absolutely head over, what's the term? Head over feet, feet over tails. I don't know.
Head over heels.
Head over heels. Thank you. That's more set. Fawned over the guy. And Sean also loved this other guy in Toronto. His name was Alejandro Kirk.
Huh.
Same, except I don't know how big Moreno is. Admittedly, I don't know how big he is, Moreno, but I know that Kirk is a big boy. But he too
Kirk would eat him.
But Kirk comes with that hit tool. Go ahead.
Well, I remember, and maybe if Melvin is still watching, he'll remember he sends me a message and he's like, look, I really want Alejandro Kirk. This was not last year, but the year before. And I'm like, no, Kirk he's doing well for me. I'm not. Then he starts telling me, oh, look, listen, my wife really likes the big boys, so I kind of want him on her team. I'm like, well, maybe your wife can go and print off a picture and put it on your bedroom ceiling if she likes him that much.
Oh, Melvin.
And he kept offering me trades, and then the one with Martin Perez came in, and I traded Kirk for Perez, and then I ended up picking maybe Yankee fans will know Jose Trevino, and I ended up trading away an all-star and getting 2 back.
And that was in 2022, I believe. No, 2023.
Yeah, 2022.
2022. Okay. Well, imagine if the Blue Jays decide, no, we're gonna trade away Kirk and we're gonna keep Moreno. Do the Diamondbacks have that success last year with Kirk out behind? No, well, they don't because Kirk wasn't playing. And who knows if Kirk is actually going to be catching full time for that Blue Jays. Seems like the Blue Jays always have 3 catchers around, although I think they just relied on Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk last year. But maybe Moreno would have been. I'm sorry, what was that?
Did Varsho play catcher at all for the Blue Jays? I know he played outfield a lot, but I
don't think so. I don't think he qualifies a catcher this year. So that means that if he did, it was very sparingly. Like he's full-time outfielder at this point. Yeah. Which it's a shame. And it's a shame that this is a guy I don't know if you remember, but I honestly thought that the Diamondbacks got fleeced when they got to give away Dalton Varsho because I am a big Dalton Varsho fan. I always loved his upside, but bro, I was blinded by some of the inefficiencies that he has to his game.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I just love the idea that you get a catcher who can steal bases for fantasy baseball purposes. You just won. You just broke the code. You just won the league at that point. I thought to myself, but his
Yeah.
price was going high, and then the season starts, and those same inefficiencies rear its ugly head. Low contact
Yeah.
rates. It's just so just things like that make me angry. But yeah, if the Blue Jays decide to keep Moreno, I think the Blue Jays would have seen a big difference in they wouldn't be as underachieving as we've seen them now, right? Because that's been one of the
Yeah.
more over. Go ahead.
I wonder if Vlad Guerrero would be okay with somebody else being the movie star if they kept Gabby Moreno, because that's how it would have been.
If they're winning, I think even Guerrero would take a backseat if that's what it means. If it translates into wins and championships, but
Yeah.
it ended up being even Lourdes Gurriel had a good season last year, right?
All-Star season. It was he was
Yeah.
really, I mean, he fell off a cliff after the All-Star game for a little while, but yeah, he had a pretty good year overall.
All right, so yeah, I was wrong on that trade. The Diamondbacks, that was a Hall of Fame caliber trade for them and their young franchise,
Mm,
relative to everybody else. That's like when Lou Brock was traded to the Cardinals by the Cubs, and all we got was a over the hill pitcher for him. So, getting back to this chart that I'm sharing here. So my prediction was at that time, Naylor's hitting a lot of fly balls. Contreras, that's a wild card. I think he's hitting a lot of ground balls too, but it's resulting in more power for him for some reason. I don't know why. We're gonna find out what the deal is. I believe Rushman, just based on his swing tendencies and his really high contact rates, that he might be the best. Even him struggling with an quote unquote struggling with an 853 ops, he might just prove that he's the best overall hitter. So that's not a wild accusation. That's not a wild declaration, right? But it confirms what we see from him, right? And Moreno with the low launch angle and the low exit velocity and the low barrel rate, I thought to myself, that's a guy who hits a lot of ground balls. How do we find out about this, Corey? We have batted ball data. And what I said about Bo Naylor, fly ball hitter, 54% of the time he's hitting fly balls. What I say, Gabriel Moreno, right? He's hitting a lot of ground balls.
ground balls.
49% of the time he's hitting ground balls. Adley Rushman, as you can see from his pull center oppo numbers, he's probably the best. He's spraying the ball everywhere compared to everybody else. You don't believe me? Well, I mean, Bo Naylor at 43.5%. Gabriel Moreno, okay. He's not hitting anything to the opposite field to my surprise, but up the
Yeah, that
middle,
is surprising.
up the middle though, 39%. Why? No more shift. So what the hell does
Mm,
he care? More grounders up the middle. F it. Let's go. And you can see Rushman, he's just sprays the ball everywhere. Even yeah, he sprays the ball everywhere. Now Contreras is the wild card. I have no idea what the hell he's doing. That's different. But sure enough, a lot of more ground balls. And you can see up the middle, of course, because that's what you're taught as a kid. You hit up the middle because that's where the second baseman and the shortstop are not going to be. And you get great results out of it, right?
mm,
So
mm.
the shift is paying off dividends to a lot of these guys, especially catcher, which is regarded as a weak hitting position. We might be seeing a renaissance at that position in terms of offense, and it's led by Rushman. But if that's the case, if you're by August 21st, the dog days of summer, you're getting this kind of low quote unquote production from Adley Rushman, and you're getting something similar from Gabriel Moreno, and you're picking him like in the ninth or tenth as your ninth or tenth best catcher that goes off the board. That's why I'm wondering: is it really worth getting Rushman early and getting it out of the way early, or just wait for some of these other guys to be available and go with those other guys instead? Mind you, you just saw that those three other guys have a lot of deficiencies of the game. Rushman might just be the perfect hitting catcher of this current era. Any thoughts on that?
No, that makes sense to me. I mean,
Right.
I haven't gotten the chance to watch a lot of Orioles baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I haven't got the chance to watch a lot of them.
Excuse me, I took a sip of coffee. No, it's fine. I mean,
You're
he
good.
is as good as advertised, and he'll be playing probably more first base or more DH to kind of preserve his body. Because you don't ruin that hit tool. I mean, he's a very gifted, talented hitter. That's why I say he's Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce roll into one.
Mhm.
But I believe in Gabriel Moreno too. The counting stats is going to hurt because Moreno's projected stats are like 10 home runs,
No,
right? I mean, you don't believe me?
no.
Just what do you think
Well,
is going to be his total? Go ahead.
I believe that you saw that it's going to be. I believe that you saw that's what the projection is, but I think he's going to be like 20,
20 home
25.
runs. All
Yeah.
right. All the
I
more
mean,
reason.
Look at that game. Look at that game against the Dodgers last year with White Sox great Lance Lynn pitching.
Well, that's Lance
Like,
Lynn.
well, true, but the presence of mind to like hit a ball that's long enough to be a homer, and then it gets called back, and then on the next pitch he says, "Okay, I'll just try the other side," and he hits one to left field. Like, I don't know. It's one of the most dumbfounding things I've ever seen in baseball. You just, oh, well, the right field homer didn't work. Let me try the left field. Gone to center field. Like,
the the one thing I really am excited for Moreno is can he match those 10 home runs with 10 stolen bases? And it shows that he could, but really after I would say I mean, this kind of looks fluky, this 278 isolated power, because he only hit 8 home runs in 2021 in all three stops of his minor league tenure in 2021 with the Blue Jays. But the ISO power of 278 shows me that he did hit for a lot of doubles at least, and 8 home runs in 145 plate appearances. So, but then after that, it's 105. And he gets to the majors, 58 cents, 0.58, I should say. It's really low. Complex league doesn't count. 167 with Arizona, but what was that? Maybe like a rehab game. And then his first full year
probably.
yeah, and his first full game, first full season in Arizona was 123. I mean, that's typical catcher nonsense there. But there's a lot to like here. We already talked about the hit tool. We talked about some of the patient capabilities with the walks and strikeout rates. 339 on base percentage. That will play with me. I will always take that. Even it's low for some guys, but for me, it's just right, especially at catcher. But this is what I'm excited about: the 10 home runs, 6 stolen bases. Who's to say that he doesn't get to 10 stolen bases and 15 home runs, along with the
I'd be
285 batting average?
I'd be really surprised with the stolen bases solely because like you showed from the thing up there, he hits a lot of doubles.
Mm-hmm. How many did he hit last year? By the way, I was looking at ATC projections, which is my preferred projection system that I like to use. That's Ariel Cohen's projections, the 5-time most accurate projection system, 5-year consecutive running. He's basically Tom Brady of projection systems. And the messed up part is he's not even using his own projection system. He just takes an aggregate, puts a little spin on it with his computer models, and that's how you become the 5-time champ, right? And that's the projection system that we use around here at this podcast. What was I looking? Oh, doubles, right? I wanted to look at doubles. Where are the doubles? There they are. Here we go. He hit 19 doubles and I don't know, 341 at bats, 380. So what would that be? Well, I mean, it's a slugging percentage of only 408. For a rookie, though, that's pretty damn good, right? That's a good start to your career, 408, especially at
Yeah,
catcher.
if I remember correctly, he missed some time too, and I can't think of when.
Yeah, like I said, somewhere. So that every 20 plate appearance, he's hitting a double. So I don't know how that compares to everybody else, but that's what the number I got. So maybe, well, let's find out, right? We're talking about it. We're doing it. Let's see. Let's check out Adley Rushman, right? How many doubles did he hit? Because I know he had 25 home runs, right? Was it? Is that what we agreed upon? You still have his numbers
For
while listening?
projections or
Oh no, last year,
what he
20
did
home run.
last year?
He did 20 home
Yeah.
runs last year. So that means he hit 31 doubles in 687 plate appearances. And that would put him 31 doubles would put him at about 22 for every 22 plate appearances. He's hitting one double. Moreno was 20 plate appearances. He's hitting one double. So it may not be home run power, but if you are keeping track of doubles in your leagues, Moreno will provide that for you as well, especially in that big cavernous ballpark in Arizona, right?
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I'm excited. I'm more excited about the prospect of getting Gabriel Moreno as my catcher late in the draft, despite the low counting stats, than I am getting Adley Rushman early in my drafts and just setting and forgetting my catching position for the rest of the year. So I like the upside from Moreno. Not that Rushman doesn't have any upside left to give. I think there's more that he could show us, especially if he's gonna be playing more first base and DH. Rushman is. I just love the prospect of potentially having Moreno on my fantasy teams this upcoming season. A lot more than Rushman. But I'm crazy like that. That's just me. I'm the same guy who tells people, "Nah, I don't want Travis Kelce in the first round. You take him." And people will look at me like I'm a weirdo. Like, what are you, an idiot? Like, no, I just prefer having Sam Laporta, which I missed out, but I ended up getting him anyway late in the year. So let's see, Melvin. Did I read this one? I appreciate you guys' kind words. Glad you guys could enjoy the content of the Winter Classic or the Winter Leagues from the Baseball Cosmos. I think I read that already, maybe, but I'm reading it again. Melvin says, "No lies detected in Spanish." So he agrees with me on the Spanish stuff. Nelson Melvin says is also 6'8", so he's more built like a power forward. And finally, Raheel, I like to play and pay leagues for free. Like, okay, I'll make sure not to invite you then. Uh, anyway, let's see here.
That
I
guy's
didn't
a
really.
goofball.
Who, Raheel?
Yeah, he's a goofball. I love him.
Yeah, so you're very careful because he might meme you without any warning. Raheel says I've been playing fantasy baseball for about 15 years, so he's throwing his head out there like pick me coach next year. Well, we'll see. We'll see who quits this year. Anyway, so that's it. Oh my goodness, Corey. I didn't even get to talk about the Diamond,
What?
which was the whole point of getting you on. But it's already I already had you for like about an hour and some change. I don't know, did you still want to do it or you want to just rain check that? What's
Yeah.
up? Yeah, what? Rain check it or
No, I
do it?
can.
Okay, let's
No, we could do it.
quickly go through it then. I have it up and ready, the roster resource page for the Arizona Diamondbacks, which is the whole point of having you on. And we just had too much fun talking about other stuff. You mentioned Randall Grichuk, bam, right there. Recent
Yeah.
signing as of this morning. Wow, that's really recent. Christian Mena was acquired by the White Sox. I just added him to my minor league prospect list of guys I need to look out for. He's 21 years old, but he might be a thing. Here's the lineup: Corbin Carroll. It all starts and begins with Corbin Carroll on offense.
Hmm.
And whatever Ketel Marte can give you, I don't know about the 20 home runs. I'm mad at him, bro. I think one year he hits like 30 home runs or something crazy like that. The next year he does nothing for me. So I'm still mad at him from that transition from 2019 to 2020 and 2021. But the projection states 20 home runs. Christian Walker, 30. He's gonna be 33 this year. I know the power is legit, but can he give you one more year of close to 30 home run power, Corey?
I'm really hoping so. I mean, I don't know his hard hit rate, but it's
Oh,
got to be up there. I
oh,
mean, his
take a
swing and
guess.
miss rate.
Take a guess.
What is it out of 100? Right?
Yeah, it was 100%. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say his hard hit rate is probably 62
Oh boy. Normally I was.
when he does make contact, but
Uh,
he's a swing and miss hitter. I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Normally I would say 60. Actually, no, he's been
ouch.
dropping those strikeout rates. Holy crap. All
There you
right.
go.
Wow. Okay. That's good to know. Like I said, I'm used to this Christian Walker, this
Yeah.
crazy 25% Christian Walker, flirting with 30%. I know this doesn't count because it was just his start in the big leagues, but that's what I'm used to seeing from him. What was I gonna say? Now, 62%, normally I would say, well, come on, Corey, that's just crazy. That's too high. But with Christian Walker, I would believe it. But let's find out. StatCast, hard hit rate as of last year, 40%. But we saw, I mean, Rushman
Uh,
was at 40% ish as well. He's a pretty damn good hitter. Okay, fine. You don't want to use that. We can use the traditional. Oh, 33%. No, let's go with the fan. I think this is much
yeah.
better. 40%,
Yeah, I was way off.
but
Shows
double
how much I
digit.
know about that.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I would have believed you. I was guessing 50%. For real, I was gonna guess 50%, 51%, but 40%. I mean, well, at one point it was. Look at that, 48.8%. That's why I almost believed you. Uh,
Yeah.
but the hard hit rate was sacrificed so he can decrease his strikeouts because you also seen a little bit of a dip in exit velocity, but that's fine. I mean, you hit home runs by hitting them in the air. Just out of curiosity, how much is he hitting in the air? Yeah, he hits a lot more fly balls than he does ground balls. 44.9%. Not high, but it's still higher than the ground ball rate. So he is definitely looking to hit the ball in the air. And that is accentuated by his 47.1% medium hit rate, which this is another slew of things. I know that this is more of a lofty percentage as opposed to this heart rate, which is more of a line drive percentage. But Christian Walker's not a line drive hitter. I don't think he is, at least not like he used to be. Right, line drive
No.
rate. Okay, there we go. So that's Christian Walker. So you're buying in. He's more patient. What is he more patient? Let's double check that. But the strikeouts are low. The power is up. You think you can give you one more year of that, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. One more, but then I think Ivan Melendez is going to be. God, I hope I got his name right. I forget if it's Melendez or Mendez, like the brothers that killed the person in the 90s.
The
I
oh
think it's Melendez.
the Menendez, I think Menendez brothers.
Menendez.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the prospect is Melendez. I mean, he just got up to Triple A last season. I was just looking at this
Oh,
morning. Why don't I remember?
let's find out. I have it here. Let's see. Evelyn, go. Wait, what's his name? Melendez?
Ivan,
Ah,
Ivan
there he is.
Melendez.
24-year-old that as of last year, the 13th best prospect in the Arizona Diamondbacks, listed as a third base player for the AAA affiliate. Ivan Melendez, let's see what he did. Let's see what the Fangraphs page machine says. 6'3", 225-pounder corner infielder, low hit tool, but the power is where it's at with this guy. But because of the high power and low hit tool and the low speed, he's only graded as a 40-plus prospect in the future. But let's find out what he did last year. In 2 stops, high A and double A. That's a red flag. Well, 23 is young. 24 this year in triple A. That's about right. Never mind. He did hit 30 home
Yeah.
runs last year combined. So that's good.
Yeah.
But it came with really high strikeout rate, well above 30%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a no for me. But anyway, but you like him though, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think I think he's gonna be somebody to watch. Um, I mean, they just drafted him, what, 2022?
Yeah, second pick.
Yeah.
Second rounder, sorry. Second round
Yeah.
pick for the
So
Diamondbacks. But and
he's got time.
the money, yeah, that's he's not stuck in the minors forever. So you're right about that. But I didn't add him because of that, because of the high strikeout rate. Like, nah, that's just too risky for me. But if he is the future, we've seen the Diamondbacks built up other young players as well. So who am I to doubt the Diamondbacks? Getting back to Christian Walker, you're kind of right with the swing and miss thing, but he is a very aggressive swinger, is more than anything, with a close to a
Yeah.
50% swing rate. I think anything above 30% outside the strike zone swing rate is a little too high. He's not a contact guy, obviously, but I will give him his props. This is a pretty low swinging strike percentage for a guy of his power and magnitude. Most importantly, the call plus swinging strike percentage for a guy who hits for a lot of power at 25.8%. I think that's pretty low, Corey.
Yeah.
I believe so. And I promise I wasn't gonna do this, but if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this right. Because I've been down on Christian Walker for a lot of years, but I think I've just been blinded by past performance that's no longer the player that Christian Walker is. I think he's a more mature player after seeing these stats. You're vouching for him. So maybe it's time for me to get on the Christian Walker train. The one bad thing about him, though, what I say, he's about 33 years old now, right?
Yeah.
So let's go back. I'm all over the place. Sorry about that. So at a 25% call per swinging strike rate, that's at the bottom of the totem pole. That's a very patient hitter right there, or a guy who recognizes the strike zone. He would be top 40 with guys like Nico Horner, Bobby Witt, an established bat like Justin Turner, and Yandy Diaz, who is just the ultimate on base guy who shows a lot of patience. There's your guy Corbin Carroll, similar call plus swinging strike rate. There's our other guy Dalton Varsho right there as well. Oh my goodness! And our guy Adley Rushman, and our guy Christian Walker. They're all Nolan Arenado. So that's the company that Christian Walker is keeping in terms of that batting eye. All right, let's go back up here. Jock Peterson will be, according to this thing, he'll be sharing at bats with Randall Grichuk.
Yeah.
Two heads better than one
I
there,
think
Corey.
does well, I know Tori likes to play matchups, and
Mhm.
I haven't looked at this because we just signed him this morning, but if they signed him as a right-handed bat, uh I'm blanking. that means he hits one pitcher handedness better than Jock does. So that way, if it's a lefty, one of them will go in, and if it's a righty, the other one will go in because
Yeah.
that's what Torrey likes to do.
Yeah, and rightly so. I think from what I remember, Peterson's always struggled against left-handed hitters. That's what stopped him from being a
Yeah.
great because he came in with a lot of I thought he was going to be the reincarnation of Christian Yelich. To this day, I'm still looking for the next reincarnation of Christian Yelich. So far, I'm over forever at this point. Jock Peterson, Robert Hassel third, Josh Lowe might be a thing, but he did struggle that in his rookie campaign. Struggled so much that the Rays sent him back to the minors and never brought him up again until last year. Who's the other guy I really loved? Anyway, I don't. It's bad memories here. But Jock Peterson was one. But I think what stopped him was, well, I mean, probably the shift. But yeah, he got neutralized by left-handed hitters. Kind of the same thing that happened in Cody Bellinger before he kind of found a resurgence last year in with the Cubs.
Yeah.
There's our guy Gabriel Moreno with the close to 280 batting average, depending on what project. ATC had him at 285, which I just salivate at that. Unfortunately, you do get Eugenio Suarez, which was a really very controversial episode between me and Sean. But I am not a fan of this pickup at all. This guy might stop you, but if you like home runs, 21 might be low here for projection. But if you like seeing, lots of power, Eugenio Suarez can still provide for that. Um,
I just like I
go
just
ahead.
like seeing a standard body there because like last close to the end of last year, like figuring out who was playing third base was like pulling the
Mhm,
slots at the Vegas casino. You didn't know who was going to show up that day. Like Perdomo took some things,
mhm.
took some games at third. Uh, Rivera took some games at third. Peterson took some games at third.
Yeah,
Longoria took some games at third. I just like that we have somebody there defensively that we could roll out, you know, 6 days, 6 out of 7 days of the week.
yeah. Well, I predict that he will frustrate you more than bring you joy. But he is consistent, and like he'll just consistently show up. So if that's what you're looking for, that's what you're getting. I'm not a believer, but have fun with that, Arizona. That might be the one guy that might stop you from greatness. But hey, I've been proven wrong before, so who knows? Alec Thomas, King, one of my favorite players from the WBC, because he was in Team Mexico. I never realized he was Mexican or qualified to play for
Yeah.
Team Mexico, so that brought me joy. But also in the platoon system, but I'm not sure who will be platooning for him. What? I guess Emmanuel Rivera could play here, or Christian Walker can play, and then Emmanuel Rivera could play anywhere else. So they got movable
Yeah.
pieces for that, for those certain pitchers. Lourdes Gurriel looks like he's cemented in left field. I still don't like him, but I'll give him props for the season he had. And Geraldo Perdomo, let me guess, he's
Uh,
just there until Jordan Lawler's good and ready, right?
no,
What?
I really wouldn't be surprised if we ended up trading Waller. Like Perdomo has taken hold of that spot.
Mhm.
I mean, defensively, and if I remember correctly, Perdomo is the one who's hitting like 297 or something with two strikes.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it's like he's got really good clutch stats, and I can't remember what they were offhand.
Yeah,
But
he has crazy contact skills from what I remember, and I know Sean was a big on him too because of the hit tool. Sean loves hit tools. 55 graded potentially is the upside there. But
yeah,
still a learning curve to go. Let's find out. I know there's a way to do the splits. I'm just kind of curious what his contact rates are. Oh no, that's pitch info. I want this one. Yeah, very patient hitter. I mean, we saw that
mm,
Christian Walker's 30%. This guy, if it goes outside the strike zone, he's not swinging at it. 86%. I mean, we just saw Adley Rushman hit 86% too after August 21st. So, and again, Christian Walker like Culpus swinging whiff, swinging. Oh my God, you know what I mean.
yeah.
Very good approach to the plate is what I'm trying to say here. Now, is there a way for me to have fun with this and see if I could split this into what you were telling me about the two strikes? So let's see. Let's find out. Come on, don't let me down. Oh, here we go. With two strikes. So through 02. Okay, well, no, 153, 156, 156. So but you know what, Corey? That's any hitter. Okay. They will struggle with two strikes.
I can't remember what the heck that stat was. If it was like two outs or I wish I could remember. There it is. Men in scoring position. Look at his
Ah,
average for men in scoring position.
yeah,
That's what the stat was.
the contact guys will have that because they have really good approach. They're not going to strike out. They're not going to waste an out. They might ground into something, but they will they will put the ball in play and make things happen. And it has resulted into 43 RBI in 96 at bats. So I mean that's rough math here. That's about 50% of the time that he's up there, he's going to drive someone in scoring position.
Yeah. And I think between that and his defense is what I mean, I don't know, because the craziest thing about Lawler is when you watch him play defense, he's so flippin' calm.
Mhm.
It's crazy. He doesn't have like that jerky throw to first motion. It's like, you could play that bittersweet symphony song and just watch him pick the thing up and throw to first. It's beautiful. It's majestic.
That's always been his thing.
But
Lawler, you're talking about Lawler, right? You were talking
yeah,
about Lawler. Okay, that's always been his thing. He's always been athletic. His athleticism is through the roof, and he's one of those guys that make the easy plays look or the hard plays look easy, and the easy
yeah.
plays look lazy. But he's just that athletic and gifted. But you still would prefer Perdomo at short because they're talking maybe Lawler could play third base, and if that's the case, then
That'd be great.
I'm happy that this guy's on the team. That's just an easier path for Lawler, right? So we'll see.
I,
But
I'd I'd be cool with that. I know close to the end of the year they played a couple of games with Perdomo at third and Lawler at short, and
mm,
I was cool if they wanted to go with that heading into the season.
mhm.
But then they ended up grabbing Suarez, which having that stability at that spot is going to be something that pays off for this year's team. I mean, similar to getting Eduardo Rodriguez
Mm.
and having a cemented third starter. So now we have an actual rotation. So if we go into another playoff series with the Phillies, we don't have to do a bullpen game in games 4 and 7.
I don't know, man. With the way pitching is going, we took a look. Alex and I took a look at how bad pitching was last year with the new rules, and it has just fallen off a cliff. 2022 was like this resurgence of pitching, then the new rules made pitching last year in 2023 look like mediocre pitchers left and right everywhere. Everybody struggled to get pitchers, and yeah, but that's another conversation to have. Tucker Barnhart, that's how much they love Moreno at catcher. Barnhart is now the backup and is no threat to Gabriel Moreno at all. So, but
Yeah.
good, great veteran presence. So there's your rotation. You mentioned Rodriguez as the number three. Merrill Kelly, who I never believed in, showed me some things last year. So maybe it's time for me to reevaluate him. He's the Christian Walker of my life right now at pitching, but I'm still kind of, hesitant. I heard a podcast talk about Zach Gallen saying that he has some sort of arm problems. Have you heard anything about that? I know that there was a year where he did have some arm problems, but he still pitched like nothing. Is there
Yeah.
arm problems with Zach Gallen, or are those over exaggerated? What do you think about that since you're there?
I think I remember somebody talking about like him getting used to playing as long as because with how far we went last year, like
Hmm.
just getting used to that. But I'm not saying there isn't, but I haven't heard anything about his arm problem.
Yeah, because now
I'm gonna have to look into that though.
yeah, because all of a sudden I'm very hesitant to draft him, but and I have him in my keeper league, and I'm kind of wondering if I should trade him now and see what I can get for the guy. But I don't know. Pitching is such a premium that even Gallen being if he is hurt, look at those projections, man. 194 strikeouts and 197 innings in a league where that type of production from a starting pitcher is nearly non-existent at this point. Over under 197 innings pitched. You think he'll get to 200 this year?
No, and I don't think it's injury. I think it's Tory and his philosophy because he's just like once if a pitcher's throwing a no hitter, Tory will keep him in past 7.
Hmm.
If he has one hit, Tory will pull him after the 6th inning. It's just that's his philosophy. Like you have to be into the seventh inning, only throwing like 70, 80 pitches for Torrey to keep you in that long. It's very rare for Torrey to keep him in that long. So I don't think he's gonna get to 200, but it's nothing on Gallen's end.
Boy, yeah. And as you were talking, I was looking to see if there was anything about injuries or anything like that, but I'm not seeing anything. 2021, that sounds about right when he had something happen to his elbow and his forearm. But what did he do last year? I think he was among one of the better starting pitchers and one of the more sturdier ones at that. So you got Brandon, I call him Brandon Pafad, like Pfizer, but what do you call him?
Fott.
What?
That's his name, Brandon Fott.
His Fad. Okay. Okay. Danish guy, I guess. We can go for one right now. Not a Danish guy, but a
Yeah.
Danish. So
No, I
I've always
got you.
I've always liked I've been on this Diamondback stream for a while. Like I don't know if you remember, but it's like I always been even on this podcast and then on Baseball Life. I always say, look out for the Diamondbacks. Look out for the Diamondbacks. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but soon. They have some people coming, and they continue to do well in developing and drafting their players. Check out their minor league system, and just
Hmm.
be patient. They're coming, and they arrived a lot sooner. I'll admit, even last year, making it to the World Series was a shocker to me. But them being competitive
Tell
last
me
year,
about it.
well, them being competitive last year was not a shocker to me at all. Hell, I wasn't even shocked when they were somewhat competitive the year before, where they were kind of like a thorn on people's sides. It seems like in
Yeah.
2022, and it culminated in 2023 in a World Series appearance. And it was because of guys like Brandon Fod and Ryan Nelson. Now, this, from what I remember, this did not come to fruition. That you mentioned the bullpen games. The reason the Diamondbacks had bullpen games was because these guys did not develop as they should have, uh,
Well,
relative to their
because Ryan,
expectations.
yeah, because Ryan Nelson did like fought. I was at the game that he started versus Philadelphia, and I mean for an NLCS game, he was very for a young pitcher, he went like 5 or 6 innings. I'm gonna have to look at what he did that game, but he was very. I think if you're gonna look for a breakout pitcher in the late draft rounds,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think Fott is really gonna show up this year.
Oh yeah, prime post hype prospect sleeper because he was so highly sought after last year, but he did disappoint a lot of folks. So you know what happens in fantasy baseball? Well, we'll just move on to the next pitching prospect whiz, and people forget about guys like Brandon. I'm gonna call him. I'm just gonna keep calling him Pafat because I like that better. They're gonna forget about guys like Brandon Pafat and guys like Ryan Nelson. I think this is a guy. No, I drafted Drew Jamison. That's the other guy that's missing on this list, but he's hurt at the moment. Let's look to the
Yeah.
bullpen really quick. Paul C. This bullpen. This is the best bullpen the Diamondbacks have ever. I feel like that they've ever given us in the last 3 or 4 years that I've been doing it this way, where I look at roster resource, I put these names in a spreadsheet and try to figure out which of these bullpen. Usually the Diamondbacks have maybe one guy I want to go with, compared to in years past, like the Yankees have like 5 or 6 guys. Not because Aroldis Chapman is bad, but because there's like about 5 or 6 Yankee guys that I can trust with to give me some good rate stats and good strikeout numbers out of the bullpen. This might be the first year where I might give the Diamondbacks that Yankee treatment at the bullpen position, with Paul Sewell finally bringing some much needed stability at the back end of that bullpen in the ninth inning. Kevin Ginkel proving slowly but surely that he's one of the better bullpen arms. Miguel Castro and his 98-mile-per-hour fastball, seemingly like, yeah, you don't know where it's going, but try to catch up to it. I dare you to. Andrew Sal Frank, what is up with these weird double A last names that these guys have? He looks to be promising next year, according to the projections. Scott McGough, it's another guy. I thought he was left-handed, but no, Scott McGough was another guy that kind of was on my radar throughout the year last year. Just because we play in holds leagues, right? And Joe Manta played.
Yeah.
This guy is Mr. Holds, but I don't know. I think he might have taken a dip last year. But yeah, this is the most deep I've seen the Diamondback bullpen in a very, very, very long time.
Same. I mean, I'm just trying to pull out Fott's numbers from that game that I attended.
Yeah, and there's Drew Jameson injury, it's Tommy John surgery, unfortunately. But that's the third triumvirate that the Diamondbacks had at the pitching position, starting pitching position. It was
Oh,
go ahead.
there we go. So
You got it.
fought in that game that was mentioned against the Philadelphia Attaboys. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean Phillies. Um, against that powerful lineup, Brandon Pfaadt came in
Hmm.
and pitched 5.2 innings, gave up 2 hits, struck out 9, and had an ERA of 2.13 that game
Ooh, boy.
as a
Yeah.
rookie.
Yeah. That's the
Which
promise. That's the promise that we all fell
yeah,
in love with. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
no, it's just he came up earlier in the year and he had a really big issue giving up the long ball the second time through the lineup.
Hmm.
But when he came into the NLCS, like I'll admit, I ended up with tickets for this game and I saw Fott was starting and I'm like, oh gosh, we're gonna lose. But he was so dominant, and he was dominant in the World Series too, if I remember correctly. He's so like I really expect a big year from Fott.
Yeah, and again, the guy who's gonna be the glue to these veteran pitchers and this talented bullpen that the Diamondbacks have never had before in a long time, and these young pitchers, the glue that
Hmm.
puts it all together is the and let's just call it for what it is. If Tucker Barnhart makes this roster because he's a non-roster invitee, is what I saw. But it's Gabriel Moreno and a veteran like Tucker Barnhart holding it together. I mean, this is if they're not going to overtake the Dodgers, they're going to again just give them fits, if anything, this upcoming season.
Yeah,
There's some holes to the lineup. There's still some holes to this roster, but this has been one of the best Diamondbacks teams I've seen. Like I said, since I started doing this about every year, every offseason, where I look at these rosters through roster resource, this has been one of the better looking rosters for the Diamondbacks in a long, 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 long time. So you should be proud of this, and I expect big years, a big year, big season from them this year because the Padres are going to be
yeah.
dipping. Although the Padres don't count them out too much, but they're always going to frustrate you for whatever reason. The Giants, I don't know
Hmm.
what the hell they're doing. Like everything's
I don't
falling
think
apart for
they
the
know.
Giants. No, they don't. They really
Yeah, I don't
don't.
think they know.
You know what happened to them is that they fell in love with just getting a bunch of veteran players and trying to be a cheaper version of the Rays, where the
Hmm.
Rays have a bunch of movable pieces and it's a very versatile lineup, but it's really a bunch of nobodies.
Well, and what I like, I'm obviously not a San Francisco Giants fan, but I would watch Giants versus Dodgers, and I'd watch them against the D-backs, and Gabe Kapler
Hmm.
just kept doing one of the dumbest. Like it would get to about the seventh or eighth inning,
Yeah.
and by the ninth inning, the entire outfield, infield, everything would be new players.
You know what?
And like you had Jock Peterson that had like 2 homers in the game, and Gabe Kapler is like, I'm just gonna take him out for freaking. I can't even name a Giant because he's probably flipping burgers at McDonald's at this point
If it's Jock
because Gabe
Peterson,
Kapler didn't believe in him.
if it's Jock Peterson, probably maybe Mike Jastrzemski or shoot, yeah, it really is a bunch of no names.
Yeah,
Even their prospects, their high prospects like the Helio Ramoses and the Marco Lucianoses of the world, they've kind of faltered. Like they're not
yeah,
like people in the industry and in fantasy baseball circles are not excited for any of those guys like they were a
yeah,
few years ago. So and the only guy to go after is Logan Webb, and I'm not excited. If I end up with Logan Webb, I would be very disappointed in myself. Not that he's a bad player; he's just not the guy I'm looking for to anchor my fake fantasy baseball starting rotation. Um, but you know what? To Gabe Kapler's defense, in Super Mega Baseball 4, which is a arcade type of baseball video game, I do that all the time. Where I go into little league mode, like I want everybody to play this game because I'm already up by 5 runs, or I'm gonna bench Kevin Youkilis for Chris Spire because Spire has a better defensive rating and a stronger arm at third base. So I'm gonna do that. So I do that
right.
for defensive purposes to seal the win, Corey Decker. Why Kapler was doing it, I can tell you. So
Yeah, because he'd do it in close games. He'd do it when the game was 1-0 going into the ninth, and he'd be like, "All right, let's put everybody that was in the dugout on the field," and like it wouldn't work.
They go into little league mode. I'm telling you. Let's see. I guess we could say that Moreno, maybe Caleb Roberts might be a thing, but we could say Moreno is safe at the catching position. No one's
Mhm.
looking behind his shoulder as far as AAA goes. I'm only looking at AAA. I don't have. It's running out of time, unless there is a
Yeah.
prospect that you want to talk about in the lower
Well,
leagues.
I think Jose Herrera. I think it's going to be him and Moreno. I really don't have a lot of hope with Tucker Barnhart being the backup catcher. I think it's going to be Herrera.
Okay, it's good to know. But 80%. Let's just say that it's going to be 75% Moreno all the time, though, right?
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
75%, 100% of the time. Got it. None of
Yeah.
this, none of this 50 percent share that we see all over baseball
No,
nowadays. There's your
no, I
guy.
agree. I agree though.
Yeah, good. We in acquiescence. Ivan Melendez. There's your guy that we talked about. High strikeout rate, but massive power. There's my guy. The guy I'm excited about. I think he's my number one guy on my minor league prospect list that I have been working on this winter. If I could pull it up, I haven't shared this with a lot of folks, but here it is in all its glory. Let me make that a little bit bigger. So never mind. I dropped them to number 4. I don't know why, but I dropped it to number 4. Oh, because I think these three guys are better. Jackson Holiday, Junior Caminero, Evan Carter, and then there's Jordan Lawler ahead of Curtis Mead in the top 5. And again, these are just the AAA guys and some of the guys I've been keeping track of since last year. So I'm pretty sure I'm missing a bunch of guys, but I'm only looking to see who is going to be I'm going to be targeting for fantasy baseball drafts this season, who I believe are going to be ready to go for Major League Baseball and have a easy path to get on the big league club. Jordan Lawler fits those molds, fits those check boxes, checks off those check boxes, and he's a pretty damn good player himself. So there you go.
Hmm.
I I adore Jordan Lawler. I want him. I need him. I will do whatever it takes to get him, but I won't do that. You know what that is.
Yeah.
And that's eating meatloaf because I hate meatloaf. Interesting prospect here in Tommy Troy. I have not had a chance to look at him, but I do see that he's a 67th best overall prospect according to the freshly made top 100 prospect rankings over at Fangraphs. Let's see if we can discuss him while that loads up. Let's keep going. Jake McCarthy still on the team. So is
Hmm.
Pavin Smith. Jorge Barrosa made my list there as someone who might see some time with the Diamondbacks later this year. You any thoughts on any of those guys I just mentioned right now?
Uh, Pavin Smith will. I don't know if he's going to end up being a regular guy, but Pavin is Torrey's guy. I mean, he ended the year or close to ended the year in AAA, and Torrey still made sure to have Pavin on the postseason roster. And you know what? His patience really paid off some games.
Yeah.
I think McCarthy is going to blow up this year. Last year he had a really down year, but the year before that he did really well in the games that he played.
Oh, I know.
I think he's got that multi tool set, and last year he was just off. But I really feel like McCarthy's gonna make an impact this year.
I'm a big Jake McCarthy believer. Normally, I don't go for guys like that, but he did win me a championship when I needed an outfielder desperately. He was one of the guys I plugged in 2022, and I wanted to believe in him in 2023, but he kept letting me down. So something happened, but I've always been a fan of his. I know and McCarthy was not even a prospect, like a prime prospect. He was just a guy who caught
Mm.
fire uh, in at AAA, Double A, and AAA. And I decided, well, let's see if that translates to big league success. And it kind of did for a little bit in certain aspects. Stolen bases were there for sure, from what I remember. But you're right, 2023 was a big disappointment. And I could hear Sean goes, I told you guys about that guy. Don't trust Jake McCarthy. He has a horrible hit tool. Don't trust him. And he was right about that. Sean's a big Pavin Smith guy, though. He loves
Oh
himself some
yeah,
Pavin
he's
Smith. And
every
Jorge,
time every time Pavin does something good, I message Sean. You see what Pavin did today?
and of course he did. Of course, I'm up for watching this Diamondbacks. It's gonna be all. Let's see. Jorge Barrosa is my 36th prospect in a list of 81 names, so he's on the top half of that list. I think we looked at Tommy Troy for a little bit. So a work in progress there. Maybe some power potential, but he is a speed demon. Only 22 years old and displaying that type of speed. Last year, that speed did not translate into stolen bases, but he is a work in progress. But that 80 speed grade is damn near intriguing. So that's
Hmm.
Tommy Troy in a nutshell. And to finish off, are there any other pitchers coming to save the Diamondbacks? I already mentioned Christian Mena, who I came from the White Sox. I in the oh my God, the Fletcher deal. Not is it Dominic?
Yeah, Dominic Fletcher.
And who's his brother again? The other Punch and Judy hitter,
David.
David Fletcher for the Angels, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and I also added Slate Ciccone or Ciccone
yeah.
into
Saccone.
Ciccone into my pitching prospect list, which is still not done, so I'm not going to show that to you. But I did add those two guys in because I see a little bit of promise, but I'm not sure if they're major league ready for. I'm not 100% sure if they're major league ready to help the Diamondbacks compete. Is there any pitcher that I've mentioned or have not mentioned yet that you could see helping this Diamondbacks team later on in the year?
Probably Bryce Jervis and Tommy Henry.
Mm,
I know they keep they keep trying to give Henry some major league experiences, and I have not looked at the stats off the top of my head, but the games I attended, he did okay. Um, so I could see him making an impact later on in the year. I could see Jarvis making an impact later on in the year. Saccone, I think, is going to be battling with Ryan Nelson for that fifth rotation spot.
hmm Let's see. Let's take a
So
quick look at Tommy Henry. So as of 2022, so he's already quote unquote graduated, the 19th best prospect on that Diamondbacks team as of the 2022 report. Uh, Fastball slider combination with a changeup, all promising pitches, but only a 40 future value. So there is some limited upside to him. He's already 26 years old, so he's kind of a post prospect sleeper at this point of his career. And technically, he doesn't even he's way past his prospect eligibility for a lot of leagues, fantasy leagues. What has he done in the minors? The last time he was in the minors full time was in 2022, and he did pretty well. Nothing off the charts, but he did pretty well. Decent strikeout totals, decent walk, kept his walks in control as anyone could. For a minor league AAA prospect. 374 ARA, but the peripherals
mm,
show that this guy might be a fluke. But he does have a little bit of stuff, but he only has three. He's a three pitch pitcher, according to this thing. If you don't believe
yeah.
me, let's go. Let's go to Statcast and let's see what his pitches were last year. Oh, I can even see it in AAA too. Look at that. But we're not looking at AAA. Well, let's just stick with the MLB. Fastball, slider, curveball. Okay, so he developed a curveball sometime in his minor league career that was not picked up on those prospect grades, and changeup. So he tries to mix his pitches as well as he could, but the bread and butter is that fastball, even though it only goes to 90.7 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
some promise, some promise there, but really looking like a low floor guy. But if you're looking at back end of the rotation type of person, you might be right. Tommy Henry might be the guy, and he's a left-handed pitcher. I believe that's all five of those guys up here were right-handers, right?
Th
Oh, my bad.
is Gallon a lefty?
Eduardo
No,
Rodriguez.
Eduardo's the lefty. That's
Yeah.
right.
So, and there you have it. Again, that that's one of the better rosters I've seen from the Diamondbacks in a long time. I love what they're
Same.
doing with their drafting and their developing. We didn't even get a chance to talk about Christian Robinson, who was a guy I had high hopes for a couple years ago, but then he got in trouble um, in his home country. Forgot which one, but he did take a step back of sorts. But it looks like he's trying to get his career back. And we didn't even get to mention Drew Jones, right? Andrew Jones's kid.
Yeah.
Do you know how his
Yeah.
rehab is doing down there?
No, I haven't looked into it in a while. I've been too busy getting mad at the Suns. I haven't even looked at the
it's a,
D-backs news lately.
it's all right. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's in terms of fantasy, he's in like these deep dynasty leagues, but I have not heard his name in a while on any podcast that talks about prospects for this upcoming fantasy baseball season. So you're not alone in that regard. He's not in my radar either. That knee injury really set him back a little bit, but that's okay. I mean, he's early 20s last I checked, so lots of promise for that kid. I can't wait to see what he can do once he's fully healthy. Whew, that's longer than I wanted to go. I thought this was going to be an easy one, but we did talk a lot about a lot. So
Yeah,
I do thank you for your time, Corey. Thank you for waking up so early. I don't even know what time it is over there. What time is it over there anyway?
11:39.
Oh, you're back on Mountain Time?
Yeah, well, Arizona doesn't change, but we're only an hour behind you.
No, what the hell? Oh, right. I was there in March when we got the hour back. What the hell did we get? Oh, we got the hour back because you guys don't do daylight savings or whatever.
Yeah,
So that I think that's what happened. Um, but I thought you were on Pacific time zone. Sorry, which
no, it's all good.
technically, so now I don't feel as bad. You're only an hour behind me. So either way, I would have gotten a Mountain West time guy on this podcast, whether it be you or Angel. With that being said, any last words from you, Corey, before I let you go?
Uh, no, I just want to thank you for having me on. Now my Thanos gauntlet is only missing Dong City for
I
live
thought you
podcast appearances.
I thought you were on Dong City before. You haven't been on Dong City ever?
No, they haven't gotten over 2001, so they're not calling me.
Wow. What happened in
Freaking
2000?
Yankee
Oh,
fans.
right, 2001, right. I thought you said 2021, sorry. Uh
Gonzo at the plate. Yeah,
yeah, with the big ginormous mammoth hit in the short outfield.
yeah, the bloop.
That's just outside of Derek Jeter's reach. They should have played a
Yeah,
They shouldn't have played so deep or so shallow in the infield. Oh well. The last update I have for Drew Jones, August 25th, 2023, he went 2 for 4 with a walk, a solo home run, and scored an additional run and a stolen base for single A Visalia. That was August 25th of 2023. So that's the last update I have for him. But that's okay. He's still young. He'll be, you know, see if he's healthy, he'll be moving up the prospect ladder here. Well, like I said, thank you for coming on, man. I know it was short notice, but I do thank you for sticking with me as we had a lot to talk about. We haven't talked like this in a while since, well, probably since March of last year when I went to the World Baseball Classic. So it was good talking to you, good
yeah,
catching up. And for those again, join us at the Baseball Life Facebook group to continue this conversation. That was Corey. I was Felipe. We will see you next time. Take care, everybody.